Somewhere in your home, right now, there may be a small, warm creature that has decided you are safe. Maybe it is asleep at the foot of your bed. Maybe it is curled on a chair across the room, folded into a shape that seems to have no beginning and no end. Its breathing is slow, its eyes are half closed. And if you listen, in the quiet, you might hear the faint, rolling sound of a purr, a sound older than cities, older than writing, older than almost anything humans have ever built. Tonight, we are going to spend a few unhurried hours with that creature, not to disturb it, just to understand it. Because the cat sleeping near you is one of the strangest and most beautiful animals ever to share a human home. It can hear sounds you will never hear. It sees a version of the dark that would leave you blind. It drinks water using physics that took engineers with high-speed cameras years to explain. It cannot taste anything sweet. It can fall from a height that would kill you and simply walk away. And it carries, inside its small body, the memory of 10,000 years of quietly choosing to live beside us. Over the next 100 gentle facts, we will travel slowly inward. We will begin with the familiar cat, the one you know, the one that leans against you in the evening. Then we will move into its body, its senses, the quiet machinery humming beneath its fur. We will follow it as it falls and rights itself in the air. We will step into its mind. And finally, we will travel back through time to the deserts where the first cats crept toward the first villages, and then return, softly, to the sleeping animal beside you. There is nothing to solve here, nothing to remember. If you drift off before we reach the end, that is perfectly fine. The cat would approve. If you enjoy these calm journeys, and you would like more of them, you are warmly invited to subscribe to the Sleepy Scholar. It genuinely helps these quiet videos find the people who need them. So settle in now, loosen your shoulders, let the light go dim, let your breathing slow to match that soft, rolling purr, and let us begin very gently with the small, warm creature beside you. Part 1. The small, warm creature beside you. Fact 1. The animal that decided to trust you. Let us start with something you already know, but may never have truly noticed. The cat near you is a predator. Every line of its body was shaped for hunting, for solitude, for silence. And yet, at this moment, it has chosen to fold itself up and fall asleep within reach of you, the largest animal in the room. That is not a small thing. For a creature whose ancestors lived and hunted entirely alone, sleeping beside another animal is an act of enormous trust. It means, in the language of cats, that you have been filed away somewhere deep in its mind under a single quiet heading: safe. Scientists who study cat behavior point out that this trust is learned, not automatic. A cat that relaxes completely near you is telling you something it cannot say in words. And it raises a gentle question we will return to all night. How did a lone desert hunter ever come to rest so peacefully at the edge of a human bed? Fact 2. The slow blink is a kind of kiss. Watch your cat's eyes when it is calm and content. Every so often, it will look at you and then slowly, softly, let its eyes narrow and close, almost as if it is falling asleep mid-glance. This is called the slow blink, and it is not tiredness. It is communication. In careful studies, Researchers found that when a person slow blinks at a cat, the cat is far more likely to slow blink back and far more likely to approach that person afterward. In shelters, cats that returned this gesture to humans were adopted faster than those that did not. Think of it as a tiny, wordless message passed between two very different species. I see you, and I am not afraid. So the next time your cat gives you that heavy, drowsy blink from across the room, you can answer in the same language. Close your eyes, slowly, and open them again. You have just said something kind, and it makes you wonder what other messages are hidden in that small, watchful face. Fact 3. The purr is a sound you have never fully understood. That gentle rumble you feel more than hear comes from deep in the cat's throat. For a long time, no one was certain how it was made. We now know the sound is produced in the larynx, the voice box, where muscles rapidly open and close the space around the vocal cords 20 to 30 times every second, so that each breath in and each breath out is chopped into that soft, continuous vibration. It is one of the only sounds in nature made on both the inhale and the exhale, which is why a purr can seem to go on and on without a pause. We tend to read it as pure happiness, and often it is. But the truth is stranger and gentler than that, and we will return to it much later tonight when we look at what a purr may quietly be doing inside the cat's own body. For now, simply let the sound be what it feels like, a small engine of contentment, idling in the dark. Fact 4. The meow was invented for you. Here is something that surprises almost everyone. Adult cats, living wild among other cats, barely meow at all. They hiss, they growl, they yowl, they trill, but the classic meow is rare between one adult cat and another. The meow you hear every day is aimed almost entirely at humans. Researchers believe that as cats came to live alongside us, they gradually specialized this call, shaping it into a sound designed to catch a human ear and hold a human's attention. In a sense, your cat is not speaking cat to you. It is speaking a language it developed just for people, refined over generations of living in our homes. Some studies even suggest cats adjust the tone of their meow depending on what they want. The small voice calling you toward the kitchen is not an accident of nature. It is a bridge built slowly across thousands of years from their world into ours, and it turns out one particular kind of purr was shaped the same way. Fact 5. The purr that sounds like a cry. Not all purrs are the same. Scientists studying cats discovered that some purrs, especially the ones cats use when they want something from us, contain a hidden, higher-pitched sound folded inside the low rumble. And that hidden note sits at a frequency uncannily close to the cry of a human baby. This is sometimes called the solicitation purr. We seem to be wired, deep in our instincts, to respond to that sound, to feel a small tug of urgency we cannot quite ignore. So when your cat purrs at you at breakfast time, sweet and insistent, it may be doing something remarkably clever, borrowing the one sound almost no human can tune out. It is not manipulation exactly. It is a quiet negotiation worked out between two species who learned, over many centuries, how to live with each other. And it makes you wonder how many other silent conversations are passing between you and this small creature every single day. Fact 6. The raised tail is a greeting saved just for those it trusts. When your cat walks toward you with its tail held straight up, sometimes with a soft curl at the very tip, it is greeting you. This upright tail is one of the clearest friendly signals a cat can give. In groups of cats, it is used between individuals who get along, and it often comes just before rubbing or gentle contact. Fascinatingly, it seems to echo something from kittenhood. A kitten will approach its mother with its tail lifted this way, and adult cats appear to carry that trusting, childlike greeting into their relationships with us. So when your cat crosses the room, tail high, and winds around your legs, it is treating you with the same open affection a kitten shows its mother. It is a small, upright flag of friendship raised just for you. And that lingering thread of kittenhood, kept alive into adulthood, turns out to run all the way through the way cats live with humans. Fact 7. Kneading is a gesture left over from being a kitten. You have almost certainly seen it. Your cat presses its paws into a blanket or into your lap, pushing rhythmically, first one paw, then the other, often with a dreamy, half-closed gaze. This is called kneading, and it is another echo of the nursery. Newborn kittens knead against their mother, while feeding, gently pressing to encourage the flow of milk. Most animals leave such infant behaviors behind as they grow, but domestic cats keep many of them, purring, kneading, meowing, and turn them toward the humans they live with. Scientists connect this to a gentle idea that living alongside people has kept cats, in a sense, forever a little bit young. When your cat kneads your lap before settling down to sleep, it is doing something it first did in the very first days of its life, in complete safety and comfort. It is treating your lap as the warmest, safest place it knows, and that trust, it turns out, extends even to the way cats keep track of who you are. Fact 8. Your cat knows its own name. It is a common joke that cats ignore us when we call them, but ignoring is not the same as not understanding. In a careful Japanese study, researchers played recordings of various words to cats, including their own names mixed among similar-sounding nouns. The cats reacted differently to their names, with a subtle turn of the head, a flick of an ear, a shift of attention, even when strangers were the ones speaking. They had learned to recognize that particular sound, and to know it pointed to them, so the next time your cat looks up when you say its name, and then calmly chooses to do nothing about it, remember, that is not confusion. That is a small creature that heard you perfectly, understood exactly who you meant, and simply decided the moment did not require a response. And remarkably, their attention to names does not stop at their own. Fact 9. Your cat may know the names of others in the household. This one is quietly astonishing. In a 2022 study, researchers found evidence that house cats can learn to associate the names of other cats they live with, and possibly the names of their human family members, with the correct faces. When a cat heard a familiar name and was then shown a face that did not match it, the cat tended to stare longer, as if something was subtly wrong, as if its expectation had been broken. The cats seemed to have quietly built a map in their minds, linking sounds to individuals, simply by living in a home and listening, day after day, to ordinary conversation. No one trained them, no one rewarded them. They learned it the way children absorb the names of everyone around them, by paying attention. So the small creature dozing nearby may know far more about your household and everyone in it than you ever imagined. Fact 10. When your cat rubs against you, it is claiming you as family. We end this first gentle chapter with the softest gesture of all. When your cat pushes its cheek or the side of its head against your hand, your leg, the corner of a doorway, it is not only asking to be petted, it is marking. A cat's face carries scent glands, and by rubbing against you, it leaves an invisible signature, mingling its scent with yours. To a cat, this shared scent is the smell of belonging, the smell of home, the smell of family. In colonies of cats that get along, individuals rub against one another to build a single, shared group scent. When your cat does this to you, it is folding you into that circle. In its own quiet way, it is saying that you are not a stranger, not just the one who fills the bowl, but part of its small, trusted world. And that leaves us with a beautiful question to carry into the next chapter. What exactly is this body, this warm, folding, purring body that leans so trustingly against us? To understand that, we have to look a little closer. Part 2. A body built from water and spring steel. Fact 11. A cat carries more bones than you do. We tend to think of ourselves as the more complex creatures, but inside that small, soft body pressed against you, there are more bones than in your own. An adult human skeleton holds around 206 bones. A domestic cat carries somewhere around 230 to 250, depending mostly on the length of its tail. All of that structure is folded into an animal that might weigh only 4 or 5 kilograms, a fraction of your own weight. Imagine building a bridge with more girders than a far larger bridge, yet making it lighter, quieter, and able to pour itself through a gap the width of a teacup. That is roughly what a cat's skeleton achieves. It is not a scaled-down version of anything. It is its own quiet marvel of engineering, and a great deal of that marvel comes down to one feature above all others: the extraordinary flexibility of the spine. Fact 12. The spine that bends like a rope. Run your hand gently down a relaxed cat's back sometime, and you are touching one of the most flexible spines in the animal world. A cat has extra vertebrae compared to us, particularly in the lower and middle back, and between each of those little bones sit thick, elastic, cushioning discs. This is why a cat can arch into a perfect curve, twist its front half in one direction while its back half goes another, and compress or stretch its whole body like a spring. Where our backbone is a fairly stiff column, a cat's is closer to a length of supple living rope. It is this flexibility that lets a cat curl into that impossible circle on your lap, tuck its nose beneath its own tail, and seem to have no corners at all. Every graceful thing a cat does begins here, in the quiet bending of the spine. And one region of that spine turns out to be more remarkable than the rest. Fact 13. The secret is in the shoulders and the upper back. You might expect a cat's lower back to be the most flexible part, and it is certainly supple. But recent research measuring the twisting of cat spines found something surprising. It is the upper back, the region between the shoulders, that can rotate the most freely. This part of the spine has a wide range of gentle twist, while the lower back stays firmer and more stable. Engineers would recognize the wisdom in this design, a flexible section up front to begin a turn, and a steadier section behind to anchor it. It is a little like the way a dancer initiates a spin with the shoulders while keeping the hips grounded. This quiet division of labor along the spine is part of what makes a cat's movements look so liquid, so unhurried, so effortless. And it plays a hidden role in one of the most famous feline mysteries of all, which we will come to in time. For now, follow that flexibility upward to the shoulders themselves. Fact 14. The collarbone that floats. Reach up and feel your own collarbone, that firm ridge running from your shoulder toward the base of your throat. In you, it is anchored solidly to the rest of your skeleton. In a cat, this bone is tiny and it floats. The feline collarbone is small and not rigidly connected to the other bones. It is embedded in muscle, almost free. This is why a cat's shoulders can rotate and compress so freely, letting the whole front of the animal narrow like a folding fan. It is the reason a cat can squeeze through a gap that looks impossibly small. As a rough guide, cat owners often say that if a cat's head and whiskers can fit through an opening, the rest of the body can usually follow. A cat is, in a sense, a warm liquid pretending to be a solid, and once you understand its shoulders, you begin to understand how it moves across the world so silently. Fact 15. A cat walks on its toes. Look closely at a cat's leg the next time it stands nearby. What looks like its backward bending knee, partway up the leg, is actually its ankle. A cat does not walk on the soles of its feet the way we do. It walks on its toes, permanently, with the long bones of the foot lifted up to form the lower part of the visible leg. Animals built this way are called digitigrade. This toe-walking posture keeps a cat poised, springy, and ready, always, in a sense, standing on tiptoe, prepared to accelerate or leap at any instant. It is the stance of a runner frozen at the starting blocks, held not for a moment, but for a lifetime. This is part of why a cat can go from complete stillness to sudden motion with no warning at all, and it is also part of why a cat can cross a room and you will never hear it coming. Fact 16. The footsteps you never hear. There is a reason a cat can appear beside you as if from nowhere. When a cat walks, it places each back paw almost exactly into the spot its front paw just left. This is called direct registering. By stepping into its own footprints, a cat leaves a single, tidy line of tracks, and, more importantly, it tests each patch of ground with a front paw before trusting its weight to it. Combined with the soft, cushioned pads on the bottom of each foot, this makes a cat's movement almost perfectly silent. A hunting cat can cross dry leaves and gravel without a sound, an ability that once meant the difference between eating and going hungry. In your home, it simply means your cat can materialize at your feet in total silence, then look up at you as if it had been there all along. That silence has a cost, though. Those delicate paws need their most important tools kept sharp, and cats have a beautiful solution for that. Fact 17. Claws kept sharp in hidden sheaths. A cat's claws are not like our fingernails, always exposed, always wearing down. They are retractable. In their resting position, they are drawn back and sheathed in soft folds of skin and fur, hidden away, protected from the ground. Only when the cat needs them, for climbing, for gripping, for hunting, or for that slow, contented kneading of your lap, do they slide forward into view. This is why a walking cat leaves no click on the floor the way a dog does, and why its claws stay needle-sharp for a lifetime. Think of a set of fine chisels kept wrapped in cloth in a drawer, brought out only for the work that needs them, and returned before they can dull. Every time your cat stretches and you glimpse those claws appear and then vanish again, you are watching a tool being drawn and put away, and beneath those claws lie the softest, most quietly useful part of the whole paw. Fact 18. The soft pads that read the ground. Those tender, rounded pads on the bottom of a cat's paws, the ones so many people adore, are far more than cushions. They are shock absorbers, softening every landing and helping to keep each step silent. But they are also crowded with nerve endings, making them exquisitely sensitive to pressure, texture, and vibration. Through its paws, a cat can feel the faint tremor of movement in a floor, judge whether a surface is safe to leap from, and gauge the exact nature of whatever it touches. They are, in effect, another set of eyes, reading the world through touch. This is also part of why some cats dislike having their paws handled. Those pads are simply very, very sensitive. So when your cat rests a single soft paw against your hand, it is not only seeking warmth, it is quietly reading you. And balancing this whole delicate, poised body is a part of the cat we too often overlook. Fact 19. The tail is a living balancing pole. A cat's tail is not merely decorative, and it is not merely for showing mood, though it does both beautifully. It is a genuine part of the skeleton, containing a surprising share of all the bones in the body, often around 1/10 of them. And its main physical job is balance. As a cat walks along a narrow fence, a shelf edge, or a windowsill, its tail sweeps and counterweights each shift of the body, exactly like the long pole a tightrope walker carries. When a cat leaps and twists in the air, the tail helps steer and stabilize the motion. It is a counterweight, a rudder, and a fine-tuning instrument, all in one slender, expressive length. Watch a cat pick its way along a high, thin ledge, tail drifting and correcting with each step, and you are watching a master of balance at work. Holding all of this together, wrapping every bone and joint, is a hidden layer most people never think about. Fact 20. A body wrapped in more muscle than you might guess. Beneath the fur, a cat is remarkably muscular for its size, laced with hundreds of individual muscles, many of them devoted purely to precision and control. Some of the most delicate live in an unexpected place: the ears. Each of a cat's ears is moved by around 30 small muscles, letting the two ears swivel independently, forward, backward, and to the side, like a pair of soft radar dishes tuning in on the world. By comparison, humans have only a handful of largely useless muscles around each ear, the faint remnants of an ability we long ago lost. This is why a resting cat, eyes closed, can still seem completely aware, one ear rotating lazily toward a distant sound, while the rest of it sleeps. And that quiet detail carries us gently out of the body and toward the senses, because the most extraordinary machinery in a cat is not in its bones or its muscles at all. It is in that small, watchful head, beginning with the eyes, and the strange, beautiful way a cat sees the dark. Part 3. The World at Dusk. Fact 21. A cat belongs to the twilight. Before we look into a cat's eyes, it helps to know when those eyes were built to work. A cat is not truly a creature of the day, nor of the deep night. It belongs to the in-between hours, the soft gray light of dusk and dawn. Animals with this rhythm are called crepuscular. Millions of years of evolution shaped cats to be most alert, most ready to hunt, in that dim borderland when the sun is low and the world turns to shadow. This is why your cat may suddenly come alive in the early evening, racing through the house in a burst of energy, and why it may stir again just before dawn. It is not being difficult. It is simply keeping the ancient schedule written into its body, and everything about its eyes, everything, is tuned for that gentle, uncertain light. So let us step now into the cat's twilight and see how it gathers what little light there is. Fact 22. Eyes that open impossibly wide. A cat's eyes are large for its head and beautifully built to drink in light. The clear front surface, the cornea, is big and domed, and the pupil behind it can open astonishingly wide. In dim conditions, a cat's pupil can expand to as much as 300 times its smallest area. For comparison, a human pupil can only widen by about 15 times. Picture two windows, one that can open just a little, and one that can throw itself open almost completely to catch every last drop of evening light. That is the difference between your eyes and your cat's. When the room grows dark and your cat's eyes seem to turn almost entirely to black, round and deep, you are watching those windows open as far as they possibly can, gathering light you can no longer use. But catching the light is only the first step. What happens to that light next is where the real magic lives. Fact 23. The mirror hidden behind the eye. Behind the retina of a cat's eye lies a thin, shimmering layer called the tapetum lucidum, which means, beautifully, the bright tapestry. It works like a mirror. When light passes through the eye without being caught the first time, this layer reflects it back again, giving the eye a second chance to absorb it. This is the reason a cat can see in roughly 1/6 of the light a human needs, and it is also the reason for one of the most familiar sights in the world. The glowing green shine of a cat's eyes caught in a beam of light at night. That eerie glow is simply light bouncing back off the little mirror inside. It is not the eye producing light, only returning it. So when your cat's eyes flash softly in the dark, you are seeing an ancient adaptation at work, quietly doubling the faint glow of the moon. Yet this gift, like most gifts, comes with a gentle trade. Fact 24. Superb in the dark, softer in the light. A cat's retina is packed with cells called rods, which are wonderful at detecting dim light and movement, but it holds far fewer of the other kind, the cones, which handle fine detail and color. The result is a beautiful trade-off. In darkness, a cat sees a world we simply cannot. But in bright light, its vision is softer and blurrier than ours. In fact, what you can see clearly from about 30 meters away, a cat would need to be only about 6 meters away to see with the same sharpness. Cats are also somewhat nearsighted, seeing near things more clearly than far ones, which suits an animal that pounces on prey close at hand. So your cat does not live in the crisp, detailed daylight world you do. It lives in a softer, dimmer, more mysterious version of it, glowing faintly at the edges, and the very shape of its pupil reveals what kind of hunter it was built to be. Fact 25. The vertical eye of the ambush hunter. Look at your cat's pupil in bright light, and you will see it narrow, not to a small round dot like ours, but to a fine vertical slit. This shape is not random. Scientists who compared the eyes of many animals found a striking pattern. Small ambush predators that hunt close to the ground, the ones that lie in wait and pounce, tend to have vertical slit pupils, while grazing animals that must watch for danger across open ground tend to have horizontal ones. The vertical slit helps a cat judge distance with great precision, and it can open and close over an enormous range, from that thin line in daylight to a wide black circle at night. It is the eye of a patient hunter, one built to freeze, to focus, and to spring. So the next time you see that slender vertical pupil watching a toy or a bird beyond the window, you are looking at a design perfected over millions of years of quiet ambush, and it explains the one thing that instantly captures any cat's attention. Fact 26. A world made of movement. Because a cat's eyes favor light and motion over fine detail, cats are exquisitely tuned to movement. A leaf skittering across the floor, a string dragged past a doorway, the tiny twitch of a mouse in the grass, these seize a cat's attention instantly, far more than a still object ever could. This is why your cat may walk right past a toy lying motionless, then explode into focus the moment it twitches. To a hunter, movement is everything. A perfectly still creature is nearly invisible and nearly safe, while the smallest motion betrays a meal. Your cat is not ignoring the world when it lies quietly with half-closed eyes. It is waiting, its whole visual system poised like a trap, ready to fire at the first flicker of movement. It is a reminder that a cat sees the world not as a picture, but as a field of stillness, waiting to be broken. And the colors filling that field are gentler than the ones you know. Fact 27. The softer colors of a cat's world. For a long time, people believed cats saw only in shades of gray. That is not quite true. Cats do see color, but a more limited palette than ours. Where humans typically have 3 types of color-detecting cones, cats rely mainly on 2. This makes their color vision similar to that of a person with red-green colorblindness. Cats seem to distinguish blues and yellows reasonably well, while reds and greens likely fade into duller, grayer tones. Imagine a painting with the vivid reds quietly drained away, leaving cool blues, soft yellows, and gentle grays. That is closer to the world your cat sees. It is not a lesser world, only a different one, tuned less for color and more for light and motion. And color, it turns out, is not even the strangest difference between your eyes and your cat's. There may be a whole band of light your cat can see that you cannot. Fact 28. A glimpse of the invisible. Here is a quietly astonishing possibility. The lens of a human eye blocks ultraviolet light, the band of light just beyond violet that we cannot see. But research has shown that the lenses of cats, along with several other animals, let some ultraviolet light through. This suggests cats may be able to perceive a part of the spectrum that is completely invisible to us. Many things in nature reflect ultraviolet in ways human eyes will never witness. Certain flowers, some patterns in fur and feathers, even trails left by small animals. It is possible that your cat, gazing calmly at what looks to you like a blank wall or an empty patch of floor, is seeing faint markings and glows you will never see. We share the same room, yet we may not share the same light. And beyond even this, a cat takes in more of the world at once than you do. Fact 29. Eyes that see almost all around. A cat's eyes face forward, like ours, giving it the depth perception a hunter needs to judge a leap. But its total field of view is wider than yours. A cat can take in around 200 degrees of the world at once, compared to about 180 for a human. Instead of a single sharp central point of focus like the one we have, a cat has a broad horizontal band of sensitivity across its retina, a kind of wide strip of attention stretching across its view. This helps it notice movement far off to the sides, a flicker at the edge of things, without ever turning its head. So a resting cat may be quietly monitoring almost everything around it, the whole soft arc of the room, even as it appears to be staring straight ahead at nothing. Little escapes it, and protecting all of this delicate machinery is one last feature, a piece of equipment you do not have at all. Fact 30. The third eyelid. A cat has a hidden third eyelid, a thin, pale curtain called the nictitating membrane, tucked away in the inner corner of each eye. Most of the time, you never see it, but it can sweep sideways across the eye in an instant, cleaning it, keeping it moist, and shielding it from harm as the cat pushes through grass or closes in on struggling prey. You may catch a glimpse of it when your cat is drowsy, half asleep, that soft pale film drifting partway across the eye as it drifts toward dreams. It is a built-in visor, a windshield wiper, a second layer of protection for eyes far too precious to risk. And yet, for all their brilliance, even these remarkable eyes have one honest limit. In absolute, total darkness, with no light at all to gather, a cat cannot truly see. But that is no great problem for a cat, because when the light fails completely, it simply switches to other senses, senses so sharp they can map the world in perfect blackness, beginning with the ears. Part 4. The Invisible Ocean of Sound and Scent. Fact 31. Ears that hear the unhearable. Close your eyes and listen to the quietest sound in your room right now. Whatever you can hear, your cat is hearing a great deal more. Human hearing reaches up to around 20,000 cycles per second at best, and less as we age. A cat can hear far, far higher, up to somewhere around 60 to 80,000 cycles per second. This is a whole world of sound that exists all around us, yet lies completely above the ceiling of human hearing. The tiny high-pitched rustlings of insects, the ultrasonic squeaks of mice, faint electronic whines from devices in your home. Your cat may be hearing all of it, constantly, while you sit in what feels to you like silence. So when your cat suddenly lifts its head and stares intently at a blank wall, it is not imagining things. It is very likely listening to something real, something pitched too high for you to ever know is there. And its range does not only stretch upward. Fact 32. One of the widest hearing ranges in the animal kingdom. What makes a cat's hearing truly remarkable is not just how high it reaches, but how much it spans. Measured in octaves, the way we measure the range of a piano, a cat's hearing covers around 10.5 octaves. That is broader than the hearing of most mammals, broader than a dog's, and broader than our own. And here is the beautiful part. Cats gained all that soaring high-frequency hearing without giving up their sensitivity to low sounds. Usually in the animal world, there is a trade-off, where good high-frequency hearing comes at the cost of the low notes. Cats seem to have quietly kept both ends. Imagine a piano with extra keys added far beyond the highest note, yet with all the deep bass keys still perfectly intact. That is the instrument your cat carries on either side of its head. And those instruments are not fixed in place. They move. Fact 33. Ears that turn like radar dishes. We touched earlier on the many small muscles that move a cat's ears. Now let us see what they are for. Each of a cat's outer ears, its pinnae, can rotate independently, swiveling through a wide arc, forward, backward, and out to the side. This lets a cat aim its ears at a sound the way you might aim a satellite dish at the sky, one ear tracking a noise on the left while the other listens to something on the right. The curved shape of the ear also gathers and amplifies sound, funneling it inward. This is why a dozing cat can seem to sleep and stand guard at the same time, one ear drifting slowly toward a sound while its eyes stay softly shut. Those two soft triangles are never truly still. They are always tuning, always searching, mapping the room in sound, even as the cat rests. And with two such ears, a cat can do something extraordinary with what it hears. Fact 34. Pinpointing a sound in the blink of an eye. Because a cat has two independently aiming ears and such acute hearing, it can locate the source of a sound with astonishing precision. Studies suggest a cat can pinpoint where a noise is coming from to within just a few centimeters, from a meter away, and do it in a fraction of a second, faster than you could blink. For a hunter working in darkness or thick grass, this is everything. A cat does not need to see a mouse to know exactly where it is. The faint scratch of tiny claws, the smallest rustle, and the cat has already fixed the spot in space, ready to pounce with its eyes closed if it must. It is a kind of hearing so precise it becomes a form of aiming. So in total darkness, where those brilliant eyes finally fail, a cat is still very far from blind. It simply sees, instead, with its ears, and much of what it is listening for we could never hear at all. Fact 35. Listening to the secret language of mice. There is a reason a cat's hearing climbs so impossibly high, and it has everything to do with dinner. The small rodents cats evolved to hunt. Mice and their relatives communicate using ultrasonic sounds, squeaks, and calls pitched far above the range of human ears. A mother mouse and her pups, two mice meeting in the dark, they chatter in a language we cannot hear, but a cat can. Those soaring high frequencies your cat is tuned to are, in a sense, the private conversations of its prey. Evolution shaped the cat's ear like a key cut precisely to fit that secret lock. So when a cat sits perfectly still, ears pricked and turning, staring at a quiet skirting board, it may be eavesdropping on a world of tiny voices happening just beyond a human's reach. It is a hunter listening in on a language written entirely above our hearing, and hearing is only half of the invisible world a cat inhabits. The other half arrives through its nose. Fact 36. A nose thousands of times keener than yours. We think of dogs as the great smellers of the animal world, and rightly so, but cats are extraordinary in their own right. A cat's sense of smell is many times more sensitive than a human's, by many estimates somewhere between 9 and 16 times stronger. Inside that small nose lies a large sheet of scent-detecting tissue, far larger relative to the cat than our own, carrying tens of millions, possibly up to 200 million, of specialized smell-sensing cells. Humans, by comparison, have only a small fraction of that number. So while you might notice that dinner is cooking, your cat is reading the meal in extraordinary detail, layer by layer, ingredient by ingredient. Smell is one of the very first senses a kitten is born with, working from its very first moments to guide it, blind and tiny, toward the warmth and milk of its mother. For a cat, scent is not a background detail of the world. It is a primary way of knowing it, and a cat has a second, stranger way of smelling that we do not have at all. Fact 37. The organ that tastes a smell. Sometimes you may catch your cat doing something odd. It sniffs at something intently, then freezes, mouth slightly open, upper lip curled, with a strange, faraway grimace, as if it has just tasted the air. This expression has a name, the Fleffman response, and it is not discussed. The cat is using a special sensory organ that we do not truly have, tucked into the roof of its mouth, called the Jacobson's organ or vomeronasal organ. By holding its mouth open this way, the cat draws scent molecules up into this organ, sensing them in a manner that sits somewhere between smelling and tasting. It is a way of examining certain scents, especially the chemical signals other cats leave behind, in the richest possible detail. So that faintly comical open-mouthed stare is actually a cat concentrating very hard, savoring a message written in scent. It is smelling in a dimension we can barely imagine, and one particular scent can unlock behavior in cats that looks almost like magic. Fact 38. The one part in a billion. Most cat lovers know about catnip, the herb that can send a cat rolling, rubbing, and blissfully drifting, but the sensitivity behind it is staggering. Cats can detect the active compound in catnip at concentrations as low as 1 part in a billion. To picture that, imagine a single drop of a substance dissolved into an enormous swimming pool, and a cat still catching its scent. Not every cat responds, though. The reaction is inherited, and only around 2 out of 3 cats carry it, which is why some cats go into raptures over catnip, while others walk past it entirely unmoved. The response usually fades after a few minutes, leaving the cat calm again. And it is not unique to house cats. Some big cats, like leopards and tigers, can respond to catnip in the very same way. So this small houseplant reaches across the entire cat family, tapping into a sensitivity so fine it borders on the unbelievable. And that same delicate nose carries something even more personal. Fact 39. A nose as unique as a fingerprint. Look very closely, gently, at your cat's nose, at the little leathery pad at the tip. It is covered in a fine pattern of tiny bumps and ridges. And here is the quiet wonder. That pattern is unique to your cat. Just as no two humans share the same fingerprints, no two cats share the same nose print. Each one is a one-of-a-kind design, belonging to a single animal and no other in the world. It is a small, private signature, pressed into the very front of the face your cat turns toward the world. There is something deeply tender in that thought, that the creature dozing beside you carries, on the tip of its nose, a mark as singular as a name, a pattern that has never existed before and never will again. And a cat uses that remarkable nose not only to identify the world, but to read it like a story written in scent. Fact 40. A world written in scent. For a cat, smell is not only about food or danger, it is a way of mapping the world and everyone in it. When a cat rubs its face on furniture, scratches a favored spot, or greets another cat nose to nose, it is reading and writing an invisible landscape of scent, a landscape layered with information about who has passed by, how long ago, and how they were feeling. In a very real sense, a cat lives inside a map made of smells, one that shifts and updates through the day like a living diary. The corners of your home that seem blank and ordinary to you may be, to your cat, rich with meaning, marked with the comings and goings of the household. Scent even shapes what a cat can taste, blending with flavor the way it does for us. Which raises a simple, curious question. What does the world actually taste like to a cat? The answer is stranger than you might expect, and to find it, we have to go inside the body itself, into the quiet machinery humming beneath the fur. Part 5. The quiet machinery inside. Fact 41. A cat cannot taste anything sweet. Here is one of the most surprising facts about the creature beside you. Your cat cannot taste sweetness at all. Not cake, not honey, not fruit. None of it registers as sweet to a cat. And this is not a matter of preference. It is written into its genes. Most animals detect sweetness using a pair of matched proteins working together on the tongue. In cats, one of the two genes needed to build that sweet-sensing pair is broken, a silent, non-working relic. Without it, the receptor for sweetness simply cannot form. Scientists have found this same broken gene not only in house cats, but in tigers and cheetahs too, across the whole cat family. So the entire lineage of cats, from the lion on the plains to the kitten on your lap, lives in a world with no sweetness in it. That scoop of ice cream you are enjoying means nothing to your cat, not because it is fussy, but because that flavor does not exist for it. And this strange gap in taste points to something deeper about what a cat truly is. Fact 42. A tongue built for meat, not variety. The missing sweetness is only part of a larger story. A cat has remarkably few taste buds, only around 500, compared to roughly 9,000 on a human tongue. Its sense of taste is narrow and specialized, tuned above all to the things that matter to a meat eater, the savory, protein-rich flavors of prey. Cats are especially sensitive to certain compounds found in meat, and largely indifferent to much of what fills our own varied menus. This is because a cat is what biologists call an obligate carnivore, an animal whose body is built to run almost entirely on meat, where we can wander happily across a whole landscape of flavors, sweet and sour, and everything between, A cat walks a narrower, more focused path, one shaped entirely around the hunt. Its tongue is not a tool for exploring the world of food. It is a tool for recognizing one thing, prey, and doing so with certainty. And that dependence on meat runs far deeper than taste alone. Fact 43. A creature that needs meat the way we need air. For a cat, meat is not a preference. It is a necessity woven into its very chemistry. Cats cannot make certain essential nutrients within their own bodies the way many other animals can, and so they must take them in ready-made from the flesh of other animals. One of the most important is a substance called taurine, vital for a cat's heart, eyes, and overall health, and found almost entirely in animal tissue. A cat deprived of it can become gravely ill. This is why a cat cannot truly live as a vegetarian the way some animals can. Every part of its digestion, its chemistry, its biology assumes a diet of meat. The small, gentle creature purring on your lap is, at its core, a finely tuned predator, its whole body quietly organized around the catching and eating of prey. And that same body has turned an everyday act, simply keeping clean, into something surprisingly ingenious, beginning with the tongue. Fact 44. The tongue covered in tiny hooks. If a cat has ever licked you, you know the feeling, that surprising roughness, like being stroked with fine sandpaper. That texture comes from hundreds of tiny, backward-facing spines covering the surface of the tongue, called filiform papillae. Each one is made of keratin, the same tough material as your fingernails and the cat's own claws, which makes them stiff and rigid. These little hooks turn the tongue into a built-in comb. As a cat grooms, they rake through the fur, catching loose hair, dirt, and tangles, cleaning deep down to the skin. It is the reason cats can keep themselves so immaculately tidy without any help from us, spending hours each day drawing that hooked tongue through their coat. What looks like simple licking is really a careful, methodical combing, performed with a brush the cat carries in its own mouth. And recently, scientists discovered those little hooks hold a secret no one had noticed for decades. Fact 45. The hidden scoops that carry water. For a long time, everyone assumed a cat's tongue spines were simple, solid cones. Then researchers looked closely with high-speed cameras and detailed scans and found something remarkable. Each spine is not solid at all. At its tip is a tiny hollow, a little U-shaped scoop. And these scoops do something clever. They draw up saliva from the mouth and carry it out into the fur. So when a cat grooms, it is not just combing its coat, it is also spreading a thin layer of saliva right down to the skin, using hundreds of these microscopic ladles. The discovery was so elegant that engineers began designing new kinds of brushes inspired by it. The humble cat tongue, it turned out, was a tool more sophisticated than anyone had realized, quietly wetting and cleaning the fur with every single stroke. And this hidden watering system serves a purpose that goes well beyond cleanliness. Fact 46. Grooming is how a cat stays cool. Cats face a quiet problem. Unlike us, they have almost no sweat glands across their skin. In fact, a cat can only sweat through the pads of its paws, a tiny surface far too small to cool the whole body. So how does a cat keep from overheating? The answer lies in all that grooming. As a cat licks its fur and spreads saliva across it, that moisture evaporates, carrying heat away, much as sweat cools our own skin. Studies estimate that this evaporating saliva can account for a meaningful share of a cat's cooling, perhaps up to a quarter of what it needs, and a significant portion of the water it loses each day. So those long, patient grooming sessions are not only about looking clean, they are also a cat's gentle, built-in air conditioning, a way of carrying away the day's warmth one soft lick at a time. And a cat's relationship with water grows stranger still when it comes time to drink. Fact 47. The astonishing physics of a simple drink. Watch a cat drink and it looks utterly ordinary. But what is truly happening is so subtle that it took scientists with high-speed cameras to reveal it. A cat does not scoop water like a dog. Instead, it lightly touches just the tip of its tongue to the surface of the water, barely breaking it, and then whips its tongue upward. Water clings to the tongue and is drawn up in a delicate column, pulled by its own momentum, rising against gravity. Then, at the exact instant before gravity wins and the column falls back, the cat closes its mouth and captures the water, chin and whiskers staying perfectly dry. It is a precise balance between two invisible forces, and the cat times it flawlessly, lapping several times a second. Researchers found that even lions and tigers drink this same graceful way, simply more slowly, scaled to their larger size. Something as small as a sip of water, and a cat performs it like a piece of exquisite engineering. And now we come to the most famous sound a cat makes, and the quiet mystery hidden inside it. Fact 48. The purr may be a kind of healing. Earlier tonight we heard how a purr is made, deep in the muscles of the throat. But scientists have long wondered why it exists, and one gentle possibility is quietly extraordinary. A cat's purr vibrates at a low frequency, generally somewhere between about 20 and 150 cycles per second. And here is the striking part. Certain low frequencies in that very range are the same ones used in some medical therapies to help heal bone and tissue in humans. Some researchers have proposed that a cat's purr may help keep its own bones and body strong, a low, soothing vibration that gently maintains the body during the long hours a cat spends resting. It would be a beautiful arrangement, an animal that can, in a sense, hum itself toward healing. The idea is not fully proven, and cats surely purr for many reasons, but it may be that the sound we find so comforting is also, quietly, doing the cat some good, and that hints at a deeper truth about the purr. Fact 49. A purr is not always happiness. We almost always read a purr as pure contentment, and often that is exactly what it is. But the full truth is gentler and more complex. Cats have been observed purring not only when calm and happy, but also when they are frightened, in pain, injured, or even in their final moments. Veterinarians and shelter workers have described cats purring while gravely ill, or while being comforted at the very end of life. This suggests that purring may be, at its heart, a way for a cat to soothe and steady itself, a self-comfort as much as a message, something a cat reaches for in moments of stress, just as it does in moments of peace. There is something profoundly moving in that thought, that this soft rumble is not only the sound of joy, but sometimes the sound of a small creature trying to calm itself. So the purr you love is deeper than it seems, a sound of comfort in every sense. And wrapping all of this quiet machinery is one more simple fact you can feel with your own hands. Fact 50. A body that runs warmer than yours. Reach out and rest a hand on a sleeping cat, and you will feel it, a warmth a little greater than your own. A cat's normal body temperature runs somewhat higher than a human's, typically a degree or two above ours. This is part of why cats are such devoted seekers of warm places, curling into sunbeams, pressing against radiators, folding themselves onto laptops, and settling, of course, against you. That constant search for warmth is not laziness. It is a body doing what its biology asks, conserving energy, staying comfortably warm, choosing the coziest spot in any room with unerring skill. And it is why a cat asleep on your lap feels like a small, living hot water bottle, radiating a gentle heat into the evening. This warm, purring, meticulously groomed body is a marvel of quiet engineering, tuned and balanced in 100 hidden ways. But we have not yet seen what it can do when it moves. Because a cat at rest is only half the story. The other half begins the moment it leaps into the air, and somehow, always, finds its feet. Part 6. The Cat That Falls and Lives, Tineville. Fact 51. The reflex that turns a cat right side up. There is an old saying that a cat always lands on its feet. Like many old sayings, it is not perfectly true, but it points to something real and remarkable. When a cat begins to fall, even upside down, it can twist itself around in midair and bring its feet beneath it before it lands. This ability is called the righting reflex, and it happens astonishingly fast, in a fraction of a second, entirely on instinct. The cat does not decide to do it. Its body simply knows. This is not magic, and it is not luck. It is one of the most elegant pieces of natural engineering in the animal world, and generations of scientists have been fascinated by exactly how it works. There is nothing frightening here, only something beautiful to understand. So let us slow the fall down, gently, and watch how a cat performs its quiet miracle in the air. Fact 52. A body that spins two ways at once. For a long time, how a cat rights itself in the air puzzled even brilliant physicists. The answer, worked out fully only decades ago, is wonderfully clever. A cat does not simply spin like a thrown stick. Instead, it bends in the middle and turns its front half and its back half in opposite directions at the same time. It pulls its front legs in close to spin the front of its body quickly, while extending its back legs to keep the rear steady, then reverses the motion for the lower half. Because the two halves rotate opposite ways, the physics balances perfectly, and the cat can turn itself over without pushing against anything at all. It is a little like a figure skater drawing in their arms to spin faster, except the cat is doing it with two halves of its body at once, in mid-air. And none of this would be possible without a feature we met earlier tonight. Fact 53. The flexible spine makes the twist possible. Remember the cat's remarkable spine, so supple that it bends like a length of living rope, and the way its upper back can twist so freely. This is where all of that flexibility pays off. To fold in the middle and rotate its two halves in opposite directions, a cat needs a backbone that can twist deeply and smoothly, and shoulders unhampered by a rigid collarbone. Every graceful thing we admired in the resting body, the bending, the folding, the liquid ease, becomes, in the falling cat, a life-saving tool. The same spine that lets a cat curl into a perfect circle on your lap is the spine that lets it spin itself upright in the air. It is a lovely thing how the softness of a cat and the athleticism of a cat turn out to be the very same quality, seen in two different moments. And this ability is not something a cat is simply born knowing. Fact 54. Kittens must learn to fall. The righting reflex does not appear fully formed at birth. Tiny newborn kittens cannot do it. Instead, the ability develops gradually as they grow. Somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks of age, kittens begin to show the first signs of it, and by 6 or 7 weeks, most have it well in hand, tumbling and twisting as they play. You can almost picture it, a small, clumsy kitten practicing over and over in its wobbling, playful way, its body slowly learning the ancient trick written into its kind. All that rolling and pouncing and falling that kittens do is, in part, rehearsal, the young body teaching itself the physics of landing safely. By the time a cat is grown, the reflex is so polished it looks effortless, instinctive, complete. But even a perfectly executed twist is only part of what keeps a falling cat safe. The rest comes down to the gentle mathematics of speed. Fact 55. A cat falls more slowly than you would. Here is a comforting piece of physics. When any object falls, it speeds up until air resistance balances gravity, and it stops accelerating. This top speed is called terminal velocity, and for a cat, it is surprisingly gentle. Because a cat is small and light, and because it can spread its legs wide to catch the air like a little parachute, a falling cat reaches a top speed of only around 60 miles per hour. A falling human, much heavier, reaches roughly twice that. And crucially, a cat reaches its top speed fairly quickly, after which it is no longer speeding up at all. Once it stops accelerating, something lovely happens. The cat seems to sense that it is no longer falling faster, and it relaxes, spreading itself out, loosening its body, drifting, almost like a leaf. That spread-eagled, relaxed posture is part of what helps it survive, and this leads to one of the strangest observations in all of feline science. Fact 56. The surprising gentleness of a long fall. In the 1980s, veterinarians in New York noticed something they could scarcely believe. Studying cats that had fallen from high buildings and been brought in for care, they found that most survived, and stranger still, that cats falling from higher floors sometimes fared better than those falling from lower ones. Up to around the 7th floor, injuries tended to increase with height, as you would expect. But beyond that, they often seemed to lessen. The gentle explanation is the one we just met. From a lower height, a cat is still tense and accelerating when it lands. From higher up, it has time to reach its steady top speed, relax completely, and spread out like a parachute, landing softer and more evenly. This does not mean cats are unbreakable, and a falling cat can certainly still be hurt, but it is a quiet reminder of how beautifully a cat's body is tuned for coming back down to earth, and when it does land, one more feature waits to soften the blow. Fact 57. Legs built to absorb a landing. The final piece of a cat's safe landing is in its legs. A cat's legs are long, muscular, and springy, and when it touches down, they bend and flex to absorb the shock, spreading the force of impact across the whole body rather than letting it jar the bones. Those same powerful legs that let a cat leap and climb become, on landing, a set of soft shock absorbers, soaking up the energy of the fall. Add to this the cushioned pads on the paws, and a cat comes down with a softness that seems almost impossible for a creature falling from a height. It is the difference between landing stiffly and landing like a dancer, folding gracefully into the ground. Everything, the twist, the slow fall, the spread limbs, the bending legs, works together in a single, seamless motion, and those remarkable legs are not only for falling, they are also built to send a cat flying upward. Fact 58. Legs like coiled springs. Watch a cat prepare to jump. It sinks low, gathers itself, goes utterly still for a heartbeat, and then launches upward with breathtaking power. A healthy cat can leap several times its own body length into the air, clearing heights many times its own standing height in a single bound. The secret lies in its hind legs, packed with powerful, fast-acting muscle fibers built for sudden, explosive bursts. As the cat crouches, these muscles coil and store energy, exactly like a spring being compressed, and then release it all at once, flinging the cat upward. It is the same principle as an archer, drawing back a bow and letting go. This is how a small creature can spring effortlessly from the floor to a high shelf, landing softly and precisely, as if gravity were merely a suggestion, and that explosive power serves the oldest purpose of all, the hunt. Fact 59. From perfect stillness to sudden motion. Perhaps the most striking thing about a cat's movement is the contrast within it. A cat can hold itself in absolute stillness, frozen, patient, barely seeming to breathe, and then, in an instant, explode into motion with no warning at all. This is the body of an ambush hunter, one built to wait, and then to strike faster than the eye can follow. All that flexibility, all that coiled muscle, all that silent poise exists for this single moment of transformation, from statue to arrow in the blink of an eye. You have surely seen it in play, when your cat locks onto a toy, goes rigid, wiggles once, and then launches. In that flash, you are watching millions of years of hunting distilled into a heartbeat, and guiding every twist and leap through the air is one last, elegant instrument. Fact 60. The tail that steers the flight. Through all of this, the leaping, the twisting, the falling and righting, a cat's tail is quietly at work. As the cat moves through the air, its tail sweeps and shifts, helping to steer and balance the body, fine-tuning its position like the rudder of a boat or the tail of a kite. It cannot do the job alone, but it adds a delicate layer of control, helping the cat adjust its aim and settle its landing. So the same elegant tail that counterweights a walk along a narrow ledge also helps guide a cat safely through the air. From nose to tail, the cat is a single, coordinated instrument of motion, every part working in quiet harmony. And yet, beneath all this physical grace lies a deeper question we have not yet touched. In order to twist the right way, to know which way is down, a cat must somehow sense its place in the world. Which means, to truly understand a cat, we must finally look inside its mind. Part 7. A mind we are only beginning to read. 20 Fact. Fact 61. The compass hidden inside the ear. Let us begin with the question we ended on. How does a falling cat know which way is down? The answer lies deep inside its ears. Tucked within the inner ear is a tiny, fluid-filled structure called the vestibular system, and it is the body's own sense of balance. As the cat's head tilts and turns, fluid and delicate sensors inside shift and report instantly which way is up and which way is down. It is the very same system that gives you your own sense of balance, the thing that tells you, with your eyes closed, whether you are standing or lying down. In a cat, it is exquisitely sensitive, feeding a constant stream of information to the brain about the body's position in space. This little organ is the true beginning of the writing reflex, the silent compass that orients the cat before it ever moves. And all of that information flows, of course, into the brain, a place we are only just beginning to understand. Fact 62. A small brain, more like ours than you might think. A cat's brain is small, only a few centimeters across, making up a modest fraction of its body weight. But size is not the whole story. In its structure, a cat's brain is surprisingly similar to our own, far more like a human brain, in some ways, than you might guess. Its surface is richly folded into hills and valleys, just as ours is, a design that packs in more thinking power, and it is organized into many of the same regions we possess. Within its cortex live hundreds of millions of nerve cells, weaving together sensation, memory, and decision. It is the brain of a hunter, tuned for focus, for patience, for split-second action. So when your cat gazes at you with that calm, unreadable expression, there is a great deal happening behind those eyes, in a mind built along lines not so different from your own. And science is slowly learning just how much that mind takes in. Fact 63. Your cat truly knows its name. We touched earlier on the fact that cats recognize their names, but it is worth pausing on because it tells us something about how a cat's mind works. In careful experiments, cats were played a series of similar-sounding words, ending in their own name. Even when the words were spoken by a stranger, the cats reacted differently to their name, showing, in subtle ways, that they had picked it out from the rest. They had learned, simply from living with us, that one particular sound belongs to them. This is a quiet kind of intelligence, the ability to attach meaning to a sound and carry it in memory. Your cat is listening more closely than it lets on, filing away the patterns of your speech, learning which noises matter. That familiar name you call across the house lands in a mind that knows exactly what it means, and a cat's memory for the sounds of its world goes further still, reaching all the way to you. Fact 64. A cat keeps a map of where you are. Here is a discovery that surprised even the researchers who made it. In one study, cats listened to a recording of their owner's voice coming from one place, and then, moments later, the same voice coming from somewhere far away, somewhere the owner could not possibly have traveled to so fast. The cats reacted with surprise, as if something impossible had happened. This suggests that a cat holds in its mind a kind of map, quietly keeping track of where its people are, based on the sound of their voices. Even when you are out of sight in another room, your cat may know roughly where you are, picturing your location from the sounds you make. It is a gentle, invisible awareness, a small creature keeping track of its family as they move through the home. The cat dozing in the corner may know, without looking, that you are still nearby, and its attention to us shows up in even more surprising ways. Fact 65. A cat can follow your pointing finger. It sounds simple, but it is quietly profound. When a person points at something, a hidden treat, a particular spot, cats can often follow the gesture, looking where the finger indicates. This may seem unremarkable until you learn that many animals cannot do it at all. Understanding that a pointing finger means look over there requires a kind of social awareness, an ability to read another creature's intentions. Dogs are famous for this skill, and it turns out cats share it too, quietly, in their own understated way. It hints that cats have been paying attention to us for a very long time, learning to read our gestures and cues, tuning in to the strange, tall creatures they share their homes with. Behind the aloof reputation is an animal that watches us and understands more than it reveals. And that understanding extends even to things it cannot see. Fact 66. A cat knows that hidden things still exist. If you hide a toy beneath a blanket, a cat does not believe it has simply vanished. It knows the toy is still there, and it will search for it, pawing at the spot where it disappeared. This ability is called object permanence, the understanding that things continue to exist even when they are out of sight. It sounds obvious to us, but it is actually a meaningful mental skill, one that human babies take many months to develop. A cat carries a stable picture of the world in its mind, a world where objects persist, where a mouse that darts behind a cabinet is still a mouse, waiting to reappear. This is why your cat will sit, patient and certain, staring at the gap beneath a door where a toy rolled away. In its mind, the world holds together, solid and reliable, even in the dark. And that steady, watchful mind spends a great deal of its time in a state we find deeply familiar: sleep. Fact 67. Why a cat sleeps so much. If it often seems that your cat is asleep, that is because it very likely is. Cats sleep a great deal, commonly 12 to 16 hours a day, and some sleep as many as 20. This is not laziness, and it is not boredom. It is deep in their nature as hunters. In the wild, hunting is intense, explosive work, demanding sudden bursts of enormous energy. Between those bursts, the wisest thing a predator can do is rest, conserving its strength for the next hunt. So your cat, with no need to hunt for its dinner, simply follows the ancient rhythm anyway, resting, storing energy, waiting. Much of that sleep is light, the famous cat nap, from which it can wake in an instant. But some of it is deep, And it is in that deeper sleep that something wonderful happens behind those closed eyes. Because a sleeping cat, it seems, does not merely rest, it dreams. Fact 68. And when it sleeps, it dreams. Watch a deeply sleeping cat for a while, and you may see it. The tiny twitch of a paw, a flick of the whiskers, a soft movement behind closed eyelids, perhaps a faint sound. These are the signs of a stage of sleep called REM sleep, the same stage in which humans do most of their dreaming. During this phase, a cat's brain becomes remarkably active, nearly as busy as when it is awake, while its body stays still and relaxed. Scientists believe that cats, like us, very likely dream. We cannot know exactly what a cat dreams of, but it is easy to imagine the chase, the pounce, the warm lap, the familiar voices of home, replayed in the theater of a sleeping mind. So the next time you see your cat's paws paddling gently in its sleep, you may be watching it run through a dream, chasing something only it can see. There is something deeply tender in that thought, and it points to the tenderest truth of all about the feline mind. Fact 69. A cat can love you like a child loves a parent. For years, people assumed cats were aloof, indifferent, bonded to no one. Science has gently overturned that idea. In studies modeled on tests originally designed for human infants, researchers found that many cats form genuine attachment bonds with their caregivers, remarkably like the bonds between children and parents, or dogs and their owners. A securely attached cat, placed in an unfamiliar room, relaxes when its person is present and grows uneasy when they leave, using them as a source of comfort and safety, a secure base in the world. This means the creature beside you is not merely tolerating you or staying for the food. In its own quiet way, it has bonded to you, drawing comfort simply from your presence. The small, warm animal that seeks you out at the end of the day is telling you something real. You are its safe place, and that bond, so surprising in a creature descended from solitary hunters, did not appear by accident. It was shaped, slowly and quietly, across an astonishing span of time. Fact 70. A mind shaped by 10,000 years beside us. Everything we have seen in the feline mind, the reading of our gestures, the knowing of our names, the mapping of our movements, the bonds of attachment, points to one deep truth. This is a mind that has been shaped by living alongside human beings for a very, very long time. The cat did not evolve these social gifts alone in the wild. It grew them here, in our homes and villages, over thousands of years of quiet companionship, slowly learning to understand us as we slowly learn to cherish it. In many ways, domestic cats keep the softness of kittenhood all their lives, a gentleness that helps them live at peace with us. The mind dozing beside you is, in part, a gift of history, the long, patient friendship between two very different creatures. And that raises the most beautiful question of all: how did it begin? To find out, we must travel far back in time, to the deserts and the very first villages, where a wild hunter first crept toward the warmth of human fire. Part 8. 10,000 Years of Choosing Us. 10.2. Fact 71. Every house cat descends from one wild ancestor. Before there were house cats, there were wild cats, and one kind in particular gave rise to them all. The domestic cat descends from a small, sandy-colored wildcat that once roamed the Near East and North Africa, known to scientists as Felis sylvestris libica. Genetic studies of cats around the world trace nearly all of them back to this single wild subspecies. Picture a lean, tawny cat slipping through dry grass under a desert sun, perfectly at home in a hard, open land, solitary, wary, and fierce. That is the ancestor of the gentle creature curled beside you tonight. Every tabby on every windowsill, every kitten in every home, carries the blood of that desert hunter. It is a humbling thought that the soft animal purring in your lap is, in truth, only a whisker away from the wild. And the story of how that wild cat came to live with us begins not with cats at all, but with grain. Fact 72. It all began with a field of grain. Around 10 to 12,000 years ago, in the region we call the Fertile Crescent, human beings began to do something new. They started to farm, they planted grain, and they gathered it, and for the first time, they stored great quantities of food in one place. And where there is stored grain, there are mice. Those granaries became a feast for rodents, drawing them in by the thousands. And where there are mice, sooner or later, there come cats. The wild cats of the region, following their prey, crept closer and closer to these strange new human settlements, lured not by people, but by the abundance of easy hunting. It was the beginning of one of the longest friendships in human history, and it started with the simplest of bargains: food. The cat came for the mice, and in doing so, it began, slowly, to come to us. But here is the remarkable part. We did not tame the cat. The cat, in a sense, tamed itself. Fact 73. The animal that domesticated itself. Most domestic animals were deliberately tamed by humans, chosen and bred over generations for our purposes. The cat's story is different and gentler. Cats were not captured and forced into our world. They wandered in on their own, drawn by the mice around our grain, and simply stayed. The bolder, calmer wildcats, the ones less afraid of people, found the richest hunting near human homes, and thrived, and had kittens who were calmer still. Over many generations, this quiet, natural selection nudged the wildcat toward tameness, without anyone planning it. Scientists call this a commensal pathway, a partnership that grew up naturally around a shared table. The cat, you might say, is the animal that chose us, rather than the other way around. It kept its independence, its wildness, its self-possession, and offered us its company on its own terms. And the earliest traces of this ancient friendship still lie buried in the ground. Fact 74. A cat buried beside a human 9,000 years ago. On the island of Cyprus, archaeologists made a moving discovery. In a grave dating back around 9,500 years, a cat had been buried carefully, close beside a human being. What makes this so striking is that cats are not native to Cyprus. Someone had to bring that cat across the sea by boat, carrying it deliberately to the island, and someone chose to lay it to rest beside a person with what looks like real care. This single quiet grave, thousands of years old, speaks of a bond already forming between people and cats, long before written history, long before the pyramids. It tells us that even then, at the very dawn of farming life, a cat could be something more than a hunter of mice. It could be a companion, valued enough to carry across the water and to keep close, even in death. And this gentle relationship would appear again on the far side of the world. Fact 75. A cat in an ancient Chinese village. Thousands of miles away and thousands of years later, in a farming village in China around 5,300 years ago, cats were living among people once more. Scientists studying the ancient bones found there discovered something tender in the chemistry. The rodents in the village had been eating the farmer's millet, and the cats had been eating those rodents, just as the old bargain promised. But one cat's bones told a different tale. It had eaten far more of the grain-based food than hunting alone could explain, as if it had been fed by people or had lingered close to their kitchens, sharing in their food. Across the whole ancient world, in place after place, the same quiet story keeps repeating, cats and humans drifting together, drawn by grain and mice, and staying for something warmer. And in one ancient land, that bond would rise to something close to worship. Fact 76. When cats were sacred. In ancient Egypt, the cat became far more than a helper. It became holy. The Egyptians revered cats, associating them with grace, protection, and the divine. The goddess Bastet, one of their most beloved deities, was depicted as a cat, or as a woman with a cat's head, embodying both gentle, motherly care and fierce protective power. Cats were cherished in Egyptian homes, mourned deeply when they died, and mummified by the many thousands as sacred offerings. To harm a cat could be a grave crime. It is an extraordinary chapter in the long friendship between our species, a time when the same small animal that hunts mice in a barn was seen as a living echo of a god. Something about the cat, its poise, its mystery, its quiet self-possession, stirred a deep reverence in the human heart. And from Egypt, born on the ships of traders, cats would begin to travel the entire world. Fact 77. Carried across the world by ship, cats turned out to be the perfect travelers. Wherever humans stored food on long voyages, rats and mice followed, gnawing at supplies and spreading disease. And so, sailors brought cats aboard their ships, prized as guardians of the grain and the cargo. Riding in the holds of trading vessels, cats spread outward from their ancient homelands, carried along the great routes of commerce across the seas, from port to port, land to land. Traders of many ancient cultures helped spread them across the Mediterranean and beyond, and in later centuries cats became such essential shipmates that some voyages would not set out without them. Slowly, quietly, riding the tides of human trade, the small desert hunter reached nearly every corner of the earth. The cat conquered the world not through force, but by making itself useful and beloved everywhere it went. And as cats spread and settled, their very coats began to change in a way that quietly records the passage of time. Fact 78. The stripes that tell the time. Look at a classic tabby cat, and you will see one of two broad patterns. Some tabbies wear narrow, flowing stripes, like the markings of their wild ancestors, a pattern called mackerel. Others wear bold, swirling blotches and whorls, the pattern we often think of as the classic tabby. Here is the quietly astonishing part. That bold, blotched pattern is relatively new. For most of the cat's history, cats wore the wild, striped mackerel coat. The swirled, blotched pattern only became common in more recent centuries, spreading widely across the domestic cat well after the Middle Ages. In fact, the deliberate breeding of cats for particular looks, the creation of distinct breeds, is more recent still, mostly a matter of the last couple of centuries. So the pattern on a cat's coat is, in a small way, a page of history, a record written in fur of how recently we truly began to shape these animals. And that late, light touch of human hands explains something profound about the cat. Fact 79. Barely changed from the wild. Of all the animals humans live with, the cat may be the least changed from its wild beginnings. Dogs have been reshaped dramatically over thousands of years into a bewildering variety of forms, but the domestic cat still looks remarkably like its wild ancestor and behaves remarkably like it too. It is still a solitary, self-reliant hunter at heart. It still stalks, pounces, and plays exactly as a wildcat does. It can still, in many cases, interbreed with wild cats. So close is the connection. The cat is the only member of the cat family we have truly domesticated, and even then, we have changed it only gently. In a very real sense, the animal sleeping on your bed is only lightly tamed, a wild creature that has chosen, for now, to live with us. That thread of wildness, unbroken, is part of what makes a cat so endlessly fascinating. And from those wild desert beginnings, this small hunter achieved something almost unbelievable. Fact 80. The small hunter that conquered the world. Consider how far the cat has come. From a single wild subspecies in the deserts of the Near East, the domestic cat has spread to nearly every land on Earth, living on every continent except frozen Antarctica. It thrives in bustling cities and quiet farms, on remote islands and in crowded homes, from the tropics to the edges of the cold. Few animals on the planet have traveled so far or settled so widely, and it did so hand in hand with us, riding the long journey of human history. The cat asleep beside you is the descendant of an unbroken line of survivors, hunters, and travelers, stretching back 10,000 years and half a world away. All of that history, all of that journey, is folded quietly into one small sleeping body. And the story of how cats came to wear their 1,000 different coats, their colors and patterns and forms, hides one last set of secrets, written not in the past, but in the very code of life itself. Part 9. The secret written in their fur. Fact 81. A coat painted by the X chromosome. Think of a calico cat with its bold patches of orange, black, and white, or a tortoiseshell, its coat a mottled blend of dark and ginger. Now here is something you may never have known. These cats are almost always female. The reason lies deep in their genes. The instructions for orange fur and for black fur are carried on the X chromosome, one of the chromosomes that also helps determine sex. Female cats carry 2 X chromosomes, and so they can carry the code for both colors at once, letting both appear across the coat. It is a quiet piece of genetic artistry, a pattern written into the very architecture of the cell. So when you meet a calico or a tortoiseshell cat, you are almost certainly meeting a female, wearing a coat that only her particular genetics could produce, and this same rule creates one of the rarest cats in the world. Fact 82. The rarest coat of all. Because those two colors, orange and black, must ride on two X chromosomes to appear together, a male cat, who normally carries only a single X, usually cannot be calico or tortoiseshell at all. He can be orange or he can be black, but only rarely both. Only in unusual cases, when a male cat happens to be born with an extra chromosome carrying two X's instead of one, can he wear the calico coat. Such cats are extraordinarily rare, appearing perhaps once in many thousands. A male calico is a small genetic wonder, a happy accident of biology, unusual enough that people have long considered them special, even lucky. So if you ever meet a male calico or tortoiseshell cat, you are looking at something genuinely rare, a pattern that the ordinary rules of inheritance almost never allow. And the way these patches of color are arranged hides an even stranger secret. Fact 83. A patchwork made by silence. Why do calico cats wear their colors in bold, irregular patches rather than a smooth blend? The answer is one of the most elegant tricks in all of biology. Early in a female kitten's development, in each and every cell, one of her two X chromosomes is switched off, silenced at random. In some cells, the X carrying orange stays active. In others, the X carrying black. As those cells multiply and grow into patches of skin and fur, each patch shows the color of whichever X was left switched on. The result is that vivid, random map of orange and black, painted across the coat by chance itself. This is why no two calico cats are ever exactly alike. Each one wears a pattern created by a private roll of the dice, deep in the earliest days of life, a coat as unique as a signature. And beneath every coat, of every color, lies one shared, hidden pattern. Fact 84. Every cat is secretly a tabby. Here is a quiet surprise. Underneath it all, every domestic cat is, in a sense, a tabby. The tabby pattern, those stripes and swirls, is the basic ancestral coat of the cat, and the genes for it live in every single one. Even a solid black cat, or a pure gray one, carries the hidden tabby pattern beneath its color, masked by other genes. On a warm day, in bright sunlight, you can sometimes see it, faint ghost stripes shimmering through the coat of a cat that looks, at first glance, entirely one color. Those shadowy markings are the wild cat showing through, the ancient desert pattern that never truly left. So the sleek black cat in the corner is wearing, invisibly, the same coat its wild ancestors wore, hidden just beneath the surface. It is a beautiful reminder of how close every cat still is to the wild, and remarkably, all this variety springs from very little. Fact 85. 1,000 looks from just a handful of genes. Given the endless variety of cats, the tabbies and tortoiseshells, the black cats and white cats, the ginger toms and gray shorthairs, you might imagine an enormously complicated genetic recipe behind it all. But the truth is surprisingly simple. Much of the astonishing diversity in cat coats comes down to just a small handful of genes, switching colors on and off, adding stripes or blotches, patches of white, or a dilution that softens black to gray and orange to cream. A few genetic switches in different combinations produce nearly all the coats you have ever seen. It is a little like a small set of paints, mixed and matched to create countless different pictures. Nature, it turns out, is wonderfully economical, building endless beauty from a few simple rules. And one of those rules produces a change you can watch unfold in every single kitten. Fact 86. Every kitten is born with blue eyes. Here is a tender fact. Every kitten, no matter what color its eyes will eventually be, is born with eyes of soft, cloudy blue. In the first weeks of life, the pigment that gives an adult cat its final eye color, the golden yellows, the deep coppers, the vivid greens, has not yet developed. It appears only gradually, over the following weeks, slowly deepening and settling into the cat's true adult color. So that gorgeous amber or emerald gaze your cat gives you now was, in its earliest days, a hazy, newborn blue. There is something lovely in that, a small transformation quietly unfolding in every kitten, its eyes ripening into their final color like fruit in the sun. It is one more gentle process written into the growth of a cat. But in a few special cats, that early blue never fades, and it comes paired with a quiet difference in how they experience the world. Fact 87. The white cats who live in silence. Some cats keep blue eyes into adulthood, and among pure white cats especially, those blue eyes sometimes come with a gentle quirk of biology. The same genetics that paint a cat's coat pure white can also affect the delicate cells deep inside the ear, the ones responsible for hearing. As a result, some white cats, particularly those with blue eyes, are born deaf, living entirely in a world of silence. It sounds sad, but such cats often live full, happy, contented lives. They feel the vibrations of footsteps through the floor, watch the movements of their people with those bright eyes, and adapt with the quiet resilience that cats are known for. A deaf white cat curled in a sunbeam is every bit as peaceful, every bit as loved as any other. It is simply experiencing its world through different senses, reading the room through touch and sight rather than sound. And from these quiet marvels of feline biology, the science of cats has reached outward in ways you might never expect, even into the stars. Fact 88. The cat who flew into space. In 1963, in a chapter of history few people know, a cat became an astronaut. Her name was Félicette, a small, calm, black and white cat chosen by the French space program from among several candidates for her gentle temperament. On a day in October, she was carried aloft atop a rocket, rising far above the Earth, experiencing the strange weightlessness of space for a few minutes before returning safely to the ground by parachute. Félicette remains, to this day, the only cat ever to have flown into space and come back. It is a curious, tender footnote in the great story of exploration, a small creature carried briefly among the stars. For a few quiet minutes, a cat drifted weightless above the world, part of humanity's long reach toward the heavens. And in gentler, more everyday ways, cats are still quietly teaching us, right here on Earth. Fact 89. The cat that keeps teaching us. The more closely scientists study cats, the more they find worth borrowing. The clever hollow spines of a cat's tongue which wick and spread saliva through fur, have inspired engineers to design new kinds of brushes and grooming tools. The delicate physics of how a cat laps water, balancing gravity and motion so precisely, has intrigued researchers who build soft, careful robots. Even the way a cat twists to right itself in the air has been studied by those who think about how falling bodies move, from gymnasts to astronauts. Again and again, this small, familiar animal turns out to hold quiet lessons for us, elegant solutions worked out over millions of years of evolution, waiting patiently to be noticed. The cat asleep beside you is not only a companion, it is, in its own way, a small teacher, a living puzzle we are still learning to read. And that thought carries us gently toward the end of our long journey tonight. Fact 90. A small body full of wonders. We have traveled a long way together, from the tip of a cat's whisker to the deserts where its story began, from the physics of a falling body to the quiet workings of a dreaming mind, and it all lives, folded up, in one small, warm, ordinary animal, the kind that might be sleeping near you right now. Think of everything it carries within it: eyes tuned to the twilight, ears that hear the unhearable, a tongue full of hidden scoops, a spine like living rope, a coat painted by chance, a mind that knows your voice, and a heart, in its own way, bonded to yours. So much wonder, gathered into so small a space, breathing softly in the dark. There is a kind of quiet magic in that, in realizing how much marvel can rest in something so familiar we hardly ever stop to look. And as our journey draws toward its close, let us return, one last time, to that small creature, and simply be with it, in the stillness of the night. Part 10. The galaxy curled up on your bed. Fact 91. Even asleep, it never quite leaves you. Look at the sleeping cat near you now. It seems so far away, lost in dreams. And yet, even now, one ear may drift slowly toward a sound, keeping its soft, quiet watch. A cat rarely sleeps as deeply as it appears. Much of its rest is light, a gentle doze from which it could wake in an instant. So even as it sleeps beside you, part of it stays gently tethered to the world, and to you. It is never fully gone. It rests in your presence while quietly keeping you company, a small guardian dreaming with one ear still turned toward home. And that soft, rolling sound it makes as it settles may be doing more than you know. Fact 92. The purr may be soothing you too. We spoke earlier of how a purr might help a cat heal itself, but that gentle vibration may reach further than the cat. For as long as people have kept cats, they have felt the quiet calm that comes from a purring animal in the lap, the slowing of the breath, the easing of the shoulders, the softening of a hard day. Some research even suggests that sharing your life with a cat may be gentle on the human heart. Whatever the science, you have surely felt it. That low, steady hum is one of the most peaceful sounds in the world, and tonight it is here to carry you towards sleep. Fact 93. A message you can send back. Remember the slow blink, the soft closing of the eyes that says, in the language of cats, "I trust you." It is a message you can return. If your cat is near and awake, you can look at it gently and slowly let your own eyes close and open again. You may find it answers you, in its own quiet way. It is a small, wordless conversation between two very different creatures, passed back and forth in the dim light. A tiny act of trust, given and received, and it is only one of the countless invisible threads that now bind you together. Fact 94. Its world is scented with you. By now, in the mind of the cat beside you, you are woven into the very map of home. Your scent, mingled with its own from all those gentle rubs against your hand, is the smell of safety, of belonging. When your cat presses its face to you, it is not only asking to be touched, it is refreshing that shared scent, marking you, quietly, as part of its small, trusted world. To your cat, you are not a stranger who happens to share the house. You are home itself, and it settled beside you tonight for a reason older than either of you. Fact 95. It chose to be here. Remember that the cat is the animal that came to us of its own accord, the wild hunter that chose, over thousands of years, to live at our side. That ancient choice is renewed every single evening in the smallest of ways. Of all the places in the house, all the quiet corners it could have claimed, your cat chose this one, chose to be near you. A creature that could sleep anywhere has decided, once again, that here, beside you, is where it wishes to be. There is a quiet honor in that, in being chosen, night after night, by such a self-possessed little soul. Fact 96. It may be dreaming, even now. Watch the faint flicker beneath its closed eyes, the soft twitch of a paw. Somewhere behind that peaceful face, a dream may be unfolding. We cannot know what a cat dreams of, but it is easy to imagine soft, ordinary things, a patch of sunlight, a slow chase through the grass, the warmth of a familiar lap, the sound of a well-known voice. Perhaps, in some gentle way, it dreams of you. Let it dream. Let it run through its quiet, private world, safe and warm, while the night deepens around you both. Fact 97. A wild thing, entirely at peace. Consider, one last time, what this creature truly is. A hunter, descended from a desert wildcat. A body built for the pounce, the climb, the silent stalk. Eyes made for the dark, ears tuned to the faintest sound. A coat that still remembers the wild. And here it is, all that fierceness and grace, folded up and utterly at peace, resting in the safety of your home. There is something deeply calming in that thought. A small piece of the wild, tamed only lightly, lying gentle and trusting in the lamplight. The wilderness itself, curled up and sleeping soundly. Fact 98. The warmth you share. Rest your hand, if you like, softly near the sleeping cat, and feel the warmth rising from its small body, a heat a little greater than your own. In that shared warmth is something very old and very simple, the comfort of two living creatures resting side by side, keeping each other company through the long night. It is a warmth that has passed between humans and cats for 10,000 years, in countless homes, on countless quiet evenings just like this one. Tonight, it is yours, a small, steady heat, glowing gently in the dark. Fact 99. 10,000 years, come down to this. Think of the whole long journey that led to this moment. A wild cat creeping toward a village at the dawn of farming. a cat carried across the sea, buried beside a friend. Sacred cats in ancient temples, ship's cats crossing unknown oceans, 10,000 years of cats and people drifting together, choosing one another again and again. All of that vast history, all those countless quiet evenings, have flowed down through time to arrive, at last, right here, in this room, in this small sleeping creature beside you. The whole long story, resting in a single peaceful breath. Fact 100. The small warm creature beside you. And so we come back to where we began, to the small warm creature that decided you are safe. It is still there, breathing softly, purring low, dreaming its quiet dreams. But perhaps now you see it a little differently. Not just a cat, but a marvel, an entire world of wonders, folded into one gentle body, resting at your side. Eyes of twilight, ears full of hidden sound, a mind that knows your name. A heart, in its own way, that has chosen you. All of it, here, in the stillness, keeping you company as you drift towards sleep. The small, warm creature beside you, a whole universe, curled up and at peace. So let your eyes grow heavy now, as heavy as a cat's in the last light of evening. There is nothing left to do tonight, nothing to solve, nothing to remember, just the soft sound of breathing, yours and perhaps a cat's, rising and falling together in the quiet. Think of everything that small creature carries within it. 10,000 years of history, the memory of deserts and temples and sailing ships, senses tuned to a world you can barely imagine, and a quiet, trusting heart that has chosen to rest beside you. And think how much wonder can live in something so small, so familiar, so easily overlooked. The whole long story of the cat, folded gently into a single sleeping body. You are its safe place, its home, its whole warm world. And in this quiet moment, you are exactly where you need to be, resting, breathing slow, wrapped in the same gentle stillness that a cat knows so well, the deep, unhurried peace of a creature completely at ease. Let that peace settle over you now. Let your breathing slow. Let the day drift away, softly, like a cat slipping into sleep. If you enjoyed this quiet journey, you are always welcome here at the Sleepy Scholar, whenever you need a little calm. But for now, simply rest, close your eyes, and let yourself drift gently into sleep beside the small warm creature, curled up like a whole universe, dreaming in the dark. Good night.